Hey, welcome back to the Butterfly Empire. It is me, the Butterfly Queen. Today we are covering the Axeman of New Orleans. Pretty much is about an American serial killer active in New Orleans, Louisiana, and surrounding communities, including Gretna from 1918 to October in 1919. Press reports during the height of the public panic about the killing mentioned similar murders as early as 1911, but recent research have called these reports into question. The Axeman was never identified, and the murders remain unsolved. He mainly targeted Italian immigrants and Italian Americans. Part 2. The background. As the killer epithet implies, the victims usually were attacked with an axe, hence the axe name, which often belongs to the victims themselves. In most cases, a panel on the back door of the home was removed by a chisel, which along with the panel was left on the floor near the door. The intruder then attacked one or more of the residents with either an axe or straight razor. The crimes were not motivated by robbery, and the perpetrator was never removed items from the victims' homes, so there's no robbery involved. The majority of the Axeman's victims were Italian immigrants or Italian Americans, leading many to believe that the crimes were ethically motivated. Many media outlets were sensationalized this aspect of crimes, even suggested mafia involved, despite lack of evidence. Some crimes analysts have suggested that the killings were related to sex and the murder were perhaps a sadist specifically seeking female victims. Criminologists Colin and Damian Wilson hypothesized that the Axeman killed male victims only when they obstructed his attempts to murder women. Supported by cases in which the woman of the household was murdered but not the man, a less plausible theory is that the killer committed the murders in an attempt to promote jazz music. What? Okay. Suggested by a letter attributed to the killer in which he stated that he would spare the lives of those who played jazz in their home. The Axeman was not caught or identified, and his crime spree stopped mysteriously as it had started. The murderer's identity remains unknown to this day, although various possible identifications of variable plausibility has been proposed. On March 13, 1919, a letter purporting to be the Axeman was published in the newspaper, said that he would kill again at 15 minutes past midnight on the night of March 19th, but would spare the occupants of any place where jazz band was playing. That night, all the New Orleans halls were filled to capacity, and professionals and amateur bands played jazz at parties at hundreds of houses around town. There were no murders that night. That's a mystery. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the Axeman's letter. Hot as hell, March 13, 1990. Estimated mortal of New Orleans, the Axeman. They never caught me, and they never will. They have never seen me, for I am invisible. Even as the ether that surrounds your earth, I am not a human being, but a spirit and a demon from the hottest hell. I am what you Orleanians and your foolish police call the Axeman. When I see fit, I shall come and claim other victims. I alone know whom they shall be. I shall leave no clue except my blood axe, besmeared with blood and brains, of who he and I have sent below to keep me company. If you wish, you may tell the police to be careful not to rile me. Of course, I am a reasonable spirit. I take no offense at the way that they conduct their investigations in the past. In fact, they have been so utterly stupid as to not only amuse me, but His Satanic Majesty, Francis, Joseph, etc. But tell them to beware. Let them not try to discover what I am, for it were better, and they were never born, than to incur the wrath of the Axeman. I don't think there is any need of such a warning, for I feel sure the police will always dodge me, as they have in the past. They are wise, and know how to keep away from all of the harm. Undoubtedly, you New Orleans Think of me as most horrible murder, which I am, but I could be much worse if I wanted to. If I wish, I could pay a visit to your city every night. At will, I could slay thousands of your best citizens at the worst, for I am in close relationship with the angel of death, now to be exact at 12:15 earthly time. On next Tuesday night, I'm going to pass over New Orleans. In my infinite mercy, I'm going to make a little proposition to you people. Here it is. I am very fond of jazz music, and I swear by all the devils in the earth regions that every person shall be spared, in whose home a jazz band is in full swing at the time I have just mentioned. If everyone has a jazz band going, well, then so much the better for you people. One thing is certain, and that some of your people who do not jazz it out on the Pacific Tuesday night, if there be any, will get the axe. Well, as I am cold and crave the warmth of a native Tartarus, and it's about time I leave your earthly home, I will seize my discourage, hoping that thou wilt punish this, that I may go well with thee. I have been thee, and will be the worst spirit that ever existed, either in fact of realm or fancy. Signed, the Axeman. The suspects. Crime writer Colin Wilson speculates the Axeman could have been Joseph Monfire, a man shot dead in Los Angeles in December 1920 by the widow of Mike Pepitone, the Axeman's less known victim. Wilson's theory has been widely repeated in other crime books and websites. However, true crime writer Michael Newton searched New Orleans and Los Angeles public, police, and court records, as well as newspaper archives, and failed to find evidence of a man with the name Joseph Monfire, or similar name, had been assaulted or killed in Los Angeles. Newton was also not able to find any information that Miss Pepitone identified in some sources of Esther Albany, and in other simple as a woman who claimed to be Pepitone's widow was arrested, tried, or convicted for such a crime, or indeed had been in California. Newton's note that Monfire was not an unusual surname in Orleans at the time of the crimes. It appears that there actually may have been an individual named Joseph Monfire, or a Mumfire, in New Orleans who had a criminal history, and who had may been connected in organization crimes. However, local records for the period are not extensive enough to allow confirmation of this or to be positively identified the individual. Wilson's explained it as an urban legend, and there is no more evidence now on the identity of the killer than there was at the time of the crime. Two of the allegedly early victims of the Axeman, an Italian couple named, okay, bear with me on this name, Skinabra. Skinabra? I like it just because it sounds fun to say. So we're going to call him Skinabra. Were shot by an intruder in the lower Ninth Ward home in the early morning hours of May 16, 1912. The male Skinabra survived while his wife died. In newspaper accounts, the prime suspect was referred to by the name of Monfire more than once. While probably different than the Axeman's usual modus operandi, if Joseph Monfire was indeed the Axeman, the Skinabras may have been early victims of the future serial killer. According to the scholar Richard Warner, the chief suspect in crimes was Frank Doc Mumphrys, who used the alias Leon Joseph Monfire Manfrey. Joseph Maggio was one of his victims. An Italian grocer and his wife Catherine were attacked on May 23, 1918, while sleeping alongside each other at their home on the corner of Upper Line and Magnolia Street, where they conducted a ballroom in the grocery. The killer broke into the house and then proceeded to cut the couple's throat with a straight razor. Upon leaving, he bashed their heads in with the axe, perhaps in order to conceal the real cause of death. Joseph survived the attack, but died minutes after being discovered by his brother, Jake and Andrew. In the apartment, law enforcement agents found the body clothes of the murderer. as he had obviously changed in a clean set of clothes before fleeing the scene. A complete search of the premises was not completed by the police after the bodies were removed. Yet later, the bloody razor was found on the lawn of the neighboring property. Police ruled out robbery as motive for the attacks, as money and the valuables left in plain sight were not stolen by the intruder. The razor used to kill the couple was found to belong to Andrew Maggio, the brother of the deceased, who conducted a barber shop in Camp Street. His employee, Esteban Torres, told police that Maggio had removed the razor from his shop 2 days prior to the murder, explaining that he had wanted to have a nick honed from the blade. Maggio, who lived in the adjoining apartments with his brother resident, discovered his slain brother roughly 2 hours after the gruesome attacks. Catherine Maggio was the wife of Joseph Maggio. Her throat was cut so deeply that her head was nearly severed off from her shoulders. Another one is Louis Bessemer and his mistress, Louis, and his witness, Harriet Lowe, were attacked in the early hours of June 17, 1918. His skull fracture. Lowe was hacked over the left ear, found unconscious. Harriet Lowe was attacked while in bed with Louis Bessemer. As mentioned previously, Lowe was hacked above the left ear and found unconscious at the scene of the crime before she rushed to a Chariot hospital. She became media circus. They found out the scandal. Blah, blah, blah. Anna Schneeder was attacked. She was 8 months pregnant. Woke to find a dark figure standing over her and was bashed in the face repeatedly. Her scalp was cut open and her face was completely covered in blood. Schneider claimed that she remembered nothing of the attack and gave birth to a healthy baby girl 2 days after the incident. Nothing was stolen, blah, blah, blah. Joseph Romero was an elderly man living with his 2 nieces. They woke, sound of commotion in an adjoining room where their uncle resigned. The assailant was fleeing the scene behind as they arrived, yet the girls were able to distinguish that he had dark-skinned, heavily set man who wore a dark suit and slouched hat. Charles Cortemagnelia. That's a long word. Rosie Cortemagnelia was a wife. Mary Cordelia was a 2-year-old daughter. Steve Boca, Sarah Lumen, Mike Pepitone. So yeah, interesting facts. But all in all, never was caught, So yeah, thank you for listening. I appreciate you. Make sure you come in for the next thing when I next record. William Clyde Gibson. And see who he was. Thank you.
Can you tell me what you love about crime? Can you tell me what you wanna know? I can give you what you need. Do you want to know about the murder? Who died first?
Purchase your tracks today.
I wonder if they're still alive. first. Now can you tell me? Now can you tell me? How do you feel about this? Is it just what we feel?